Greetings, outstanding folks, and welcome back. GR Van, back again. It's been a while since I've done any kind of a video that didn't involve either the trumpet or the trombone. And up to this point, it only been like a couple of them that weren't related. One was showing the bass guitars that I have, and one that showed my acoustic guitars. I have a fairly wide range of electric guitars, and because of that, I'm splitting them up into two videos. This one will feature the extended range guitars that I have, and they're all Conklin brands, by the way. And the definition of standard range is anything that's got more range than a standard guitar. Standard guitar will have strings tuned to E2, A2, D3, G3, B3, and E4. And so the extended range will have, most of the time will have additional strings at the very minimum. And also most standard guitars will have anywhere from 19 to 24 frets. So, without further ado, I'll get started on the first one. I'll be doing these in order of when I got them. And you'll have to bear with me. I have one chord, and so I'll be leaning over the switch and disconnect and whatnot and reconnect to the amp. And the amp I'm using in this demonstration is a Marshall, an old Marshall 15-watt mini stack, done in half stack. Well, the first guitar I'll show is the oldest one in the group. It's a Conklin Groove Tools 7-string guitar, and at the time I bought this, I only had one other electric guitar, and that will be shown in a later video. But I managed to run across a guitar buyer's guide at an exchange on the base where I was serving in the Iraq operation, and found out that the Conklin shop was in Springfield, and I lived in Kirksville at the time, so it was pretty convenient. Got a chance to get acquainted with Bill Conklin, and he had this on the shelf, Groove Tool 7-string, this one has the one on the low end for B1. Has two dual coil pickups. The bridge on it is set up for a tremolo system. I just rarely use the bar with it anyway. Got, I think, a 3-way switch on it, and one volume 1 control knob. So pretty basic. But another feature that's in about all Conklin guitars, see the piece here and the piece here, is that it's made so that they attach pins to the strap, and there's locking pins so that the strap doesn't fall off the guitar. And another feature about this guitar is that it has a locking output jack, so that keeps the cord nice and secure, and that's the feature on all Conklin guitars. And so that way, if you walk too far from your amp, the cord will come out of the amp instead of out of the guitar. Kind of handy thing to have happen, so you don't have the feedback of a loose cord all over the stage. And because this is in standard tuning, I'll do one thing I like about the having the 7-string is if I need to get a lower note, like say low D, like. So that comes in pretty handy. This comes with 24 frets, so it does have an E6 in it without having to do string bends. And for a final part of the demo, do a little excerpt from an old Bloodgood classic called Top of the Mountain. And for most of my travels, if I want to take something that's going to be definitely handy, this pretty much became a workhorse for me. So I've been pretty satisfied with this guitar. I picked it up in the late part of 2003, so this thing's getting close to 20 years old, and it's pretty handy. Now, unhook this real quick and go on to the next one. Now this next one is definitely extended range plus. There's another Conklin guitar. I got this a little loud. It's a Conklin custom shop guitar. I had him start building it while I was deployed in the Iraq operation. Anyway, I had it built during the Iraq operation, and it's basically got 4 control knobs, several levers on it. I'm getting a lot of feedback for some oddball reason, probably an old cord. But I had it built with 8 strings on it, which has the high A, so it's tuned to A4. Also had it built with 31 frets, so it gets clear up to E7. There's a risk about that as a there's your E7. That's a high enough frequency that the effects don't last too long. And one thing I like about this guitar too is that because it has a high A, the difficulty is if you have a tuned standard, that I have to mute the high A string. But I've found a remedy around that is like I took the 3rd string that's normally tuned to B3 and tuned it up to C4. So I basically have an alto guitar similar to what you'd have if you take a standard guitar and put a capo on the 5th fret. But it still has. And one thing about that is that this ends up being a transposing instrument. So I'll do the same sequence from Blood Gib, but this time I'll be using fingering like I did the other, but this will end up in D minor as a result. So that's probably the most extended range guitar I've had. And the risk of the 31 frets is that once you get up above probably about 27 or so, the frets do tend to get crowded, so you have to do a different way of fingering the frets. But other than that, it's like, it seems to work out pretty nicely. I just don't use it that often because I have to redo the tuning. But it's from 2004. And that's it for that one. I'll go on to the next one. And last but not least, this is last but not least, this is my other extended range guitar. It's a Conklin New Century series. I had this one built in 2006 at the got the 4 knobs, got the 2 dual call pickups like he likes to use. Same locking system for the strap and the cord as the other 2 guitars. This one and also on my other 8 string require a 9-volt battery to operate. But on this one, it adds the 2 extra strings both on the low end. And so normally it would have a B1 and an F sharp 1. However, when I had this built, I actually had him set it up tuned to the key of D. So in result, I have something that can double as a short scale bass. And it's, like I said, pretty handy. That means I can go from lead guitar to bass without switching instruments. And Same lick that I did on the other two, but this time the result will be in a G minor. And because this has a standard 24 frets, the top note on this is a D6, so it's pretty much just same high end as on a Stratocaster. And so that's my rundown of my extended range guitars. Thanks for watching, and all the best.